Welcome to Voices for Justice with Danielle.
I'm gonna talk about some crazy stuff that I'm experiencing here in Massachusetts. I'm just gonna let more people join. Hopefully it doesn't take too long for people to join. But, yeah, whatever. I'll get started. So I even wrote down notes of the dates and what happened, because this has been going on since September 14th. So on September 14th, I got pulled over for speeding. I maintain that I was not speeding. Another thing that they had indicated on the ticket, and they didn't cite me for this though, was, speeding, going 45 in a 30 zone, which is completely untrue. They also said that I unlawfully went from the third lane to the first lane, which quite frankly is bull. I was in the third lane. I transitioned into the second lane. I drove in the second lane for 25 to 50 yards. And then I did my turn signal again and transitioned into the first lane. So let me just start from the beginning, okay? On September 14th, I was working. It was a Saturday. I was working. I left. I started driving home. There's this roadway where just about everybody who's going to take a right transitions into the right lane, okay? Because I couldn't change lanes earlier, I was in the third lane, and I was behind the state trooper. He was driving below the speed limit. It was kind of irritating. It was hard to maintain the distance because he was driving under the speed limit. So I used my turn signal. I transitioned into the second lane. After 25 to 50 yards, I then used my turn signal again and transitioned into the third lane. Now, anybody who knows Revere, Massachusetts, if anybody watching, listening, is familiar with Revere, Massachusetts, there is Route 145. Okay, Route 145 takes you over to Revere Beach and then into Winthrop. So, as you're going down Route 145 and as you're approaching Elliott Circle, it's like a little rotary, and it kind of almost separates Revere Beach from Short Beach, even though there's also some houses that separate it, but whatever. So anybody who's familiar with that area knows when you take a right there, 98% of the time, at least your back tire is going to go up on the curb. Okay? The 2% of the time that it doesn't. I don't know who you are, so I'm not going to let you join because I don't know you. So the other 2% of the time, okay, when I take that turn, I always do yes when I do not go up on the curb. On this day, so I'm driving behind the trooper. He's driving below the speed limit, transition to the second lane, the third lane. I see him slow down almost to a stop. He's about to veer off to the right to go the road that runs parallel to Revere Beach, okay? Comes almost to a stop so that he can then change lanes and follow me. I saw him slow down. I was like, oh, here we effing go, right? So he pulled me over. Wicked rude. I tried explaining to him that I did the yes, so I didn't go up on the curb, because you feel the drop. You feel it. It's super noticeable when you go up on that curb. So I was trying to explain that to him, and he walked away from me. Okay? I shouted some choice profanity words at him, and then he got into his cruiser. I turned on my camera to record, because at that point I knew I was getting a ticket, and I knew he was going to lie. And because I wasn't entirely sure what specifically he might lie about, I just wanted to cover myself. I started putting a video together that I'm going to be releasing later on YouTube. I might also release it on TikTok if TikTok allows it, but we'll see. So I had put in FOIA requests, okay? I put in FOIA requests for body-worn camera and cruiser-mounted camera, which would be the dash cam. And, sorry, I'm just trying to also read the comments. So, on September 14th, that's when I got pulled over for, like, speeding, right? Charged $155. I look at my citation. It said I had 20 days to file an appeal. So I filed an appeal within my 20 days. I paid $25. My court... Oh, actually, that's skipping ahead. I'm not skipping ahead. On October 14th, that's a month later, okay? A month later, they still hadn't responded. So I called. There was like a phone number that you could call. And then I sent them an email. They had a couple of email addresses listed if you needed to make an inquiry about your FOIA request. So, yeah, so it was the body-worn camera, the dash cam footage from everything related to that incident. I didn't get a call back. I didn't get a response to my email when I did all that on October 14th. So October 24th, this is now over a month, okay? Over a month since my FOIA request. I submitted a duplicate FOIA. You know, you ignored one. Let me submit another one just in case you missed it. Right? I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt here. Still nothing. I knew I had to go to court on December 12th. Okay? So on December 9th, when I still didn't get a response, I wasn't sure what options I had at that point, since, I mean, you would expect them to respond to your FOIA. You would also expect them to return a call or respond to your email, because then that's electronic proof that you're trying to communicate with them and they're ignoring you. So I didn't know what other courses of action I had to take. So I Googled. And when I Googled, the Secretary of State's office came up. So I reached out to the Secretary of State's office. It turns out they supervise the state police, and they told me I could file an appeal. So I filed an appeal technically for their lack of response to my FOIA request. Okay, I did that on December 9th. On December 12th, I went to court, and the clerk magistrate made the decision to continue the case, I guess, until today, January 9th, because they wanted to give the state police time to respond, because the 3 months they had wasn't enough, okay? I had to file the appeal within 20 days, but they got 3 months. All right. On December 17th, the Secretary of State's office made the determination and agreed with me that they need to respond to the FOIA request. 2 days later, on December 19th, the state police reached out to me and told me they needed me to prove my identity. As if knowing the date, time, location of the traffic stop, the citation number, the trooper's name, badge number, my own vehicle registration number, my own name, that wasn't enough. No. They needed me to prove my identity by uploading a picture of my photo ID. So I filed another appeal with the Secretary of State's office, because it seemed to me like they were just creating barriers to my ability to obtain evidence that would prove my innocence. And so I filed the second appeal on the same day that the state police requested proof of my identity. Okay, so that was December 19th. On January 4th, that's a Saturday, I decided, you know what, let me just upload a photo so it seems like I'm cooperative, so it seems like, I just want them to respond. So I uploaded proof of my identity. January 7th, that's this past Tuesday, this week, okay? January 7th, the Secretary of State's office made a determination that basically, like, every step the state police had taken up to that point was not compliant or in adherence with Freedom of Information Act. For example, they were supposed to tell me specifically what records that were responsive to my request that they had found, that they were going to be willing to release to me upon proof of my identity. They didn't do that. They didn't specify what records they had that would be covered by, like, confidentiality in the Freedom of Information Act. And that, they are just creating barriers at this point to me obtaining this information, especially because I was a party involved. There shouldn't be, redactions, but the Secretary of State's office also put in that determination letter that the state police needs to provide to me a written invoice of any redaction fees that will be associated with this in a timely fashion, with enough time for me to submit the payments and receive the documents. Okay? On the same day, the state police sent me an email explaining that that the trooper's cruiser that pulled me over that day did not have a cruiser mounted camera, so it didn't have a dash cam. And then it said, oh gosh, what was their wording? It was so annoying. Oh, as a courtesy, we will provide you with the body worn camera footage. As a courtesy? Like he's doing me a favor, not like it's my right to access that. Okay? As a courtesy, they provided me that. So all they provided me was the same footage that I already had footage of, because I was recording. So the whole purpose of the FOIA was to prove I wasn't speeding, was to prove I did not make an unlawful transition across 3 lanes of traffic, and that I did not drive on a sidewalk. He tried to make it sound like I drove on a sidewalk. And Revere Beach, they would have noticed if I was driving on the sidewalk. It's usually pretty crowded. So I was irritated. I was also irritated that the clerk magistrate decided to continue it. I thought they should have just found in my favor at that point, because the state police had already kind of like proven that they were not trying to cooperate or fulfill my request in any way up to that point. So today I had court again, and I'm trying to think of how to say this, because I'm just super mad and irritated about it. So I went in today. I got there at a few minutes before 11, and I did it very specifically at that time, because last time I went, I didn't know how long it was going to take, and I only put in enough time for, I think, an hour or an hour and a half in the parking meter. And I was like, oh my, this is how they get people. This is how they get people. They have them come in to appeal a ticket. they keep them in there for so long that the meter runs out, and then they can risk leaving and missing their name being called, or stay and risk getting a ticket. Either way, they're going to get more money out of you, right? So luckily, when I had gone in on December 12th, somebody and I just kind of like started like casually chatting, and really nice guy. He left before me, and I asked him if he would put more quarters in the meter by my car, and he did. I was so thankful for him that day. Today when I went, I said, you know what? There's a 2-hour limit. Let me just pay the full 2 hours and hope for the best. And I'm thinking, okay, since it's continued, they're not going to make me go last again. Because the first time I went, they made me wait last. So I was there from 10:30 till 1:30. Today, got there exactly at 11, paid for the 2 hours. But no, they didn't try to move me up the list or anything. No. They actually had like misclassified me, and luckily somebody had come out and we figured it out before too much time had passed. But it was a different clerk magistrate this time, so he wasn't familiar with all the other stuff, so I had to start from the beginning with him again. So okay, they had sent me the email that the cruiser didn't have the cruiser mounted camera or the dash cam. And then they sent me the video of just that. Okay, when I watched it, there was only one portion redacted. Does anybody want to take a guess in the comments of what portion of the body-worn camera footage was redacted? Please take a guess. Any guess? I want to see at least one guess before I tell you the answer. Just one. You can guess that they redacted the sirens, the anything. No guesses. None. And actually, as I was telling the story, I really figured people would be able to guess. Sidewalk. Close. When they told you what it was for, you moving too slow. All right. Okay. The only portion of the body-worn camera footage that was redacted was when the trooper was in his cruiser, and the only portion that was redacted was the dashboard. Okay? So, obviously, I filed yet another appeal with the Secretary of State's office, because, sure, they said to me in an email that that cruiser did not have a cruiser mounted camera. But I don't necessarily, I'm not going to take that at face value. After the stunt they just pulled, making me wait 4 months. 4 months. I had 20 days. Anyway. So the only portion of the body-worn camera that is redacted, that is obscured, that we cannot see, is the dashboard. That would prove or disprove whether or not there was a cruiser-mounted camera in the vehicle. Now, according to department policy, all troopers are to be trained in the proper use of camera devices and speed measuring devices. And for the purposes of transparency, safety, and I think public trust were the 3 reasons they had given, all cruisers are to have cruiser-mounted cameras, and all troopers are to wear body-worn cameras on them at all times to record any and all public interactions. There are a few exclusions, but I didn't read that part because I don't care. This would not be one of those, because speeding, pulling somebody over for speeding, trying to give them a citation, that was listed under one of the reasons why they would have all these recordings activated. So when I was in the room with the clerk magistrate, I asked him for his name. He gave it to me. He spelled his last name for me 5 times, okay? His name is Jim Dwyer, by the way. He spelled his last name for me 5 times. And I said to him, I was like, your last name's not that complicated. I got it. It's all right. Okay? And then I said, don't worry. I was just asking for my YouTube channel, because I do plan on putting it on my YouTube channel. The most excitement I saw out of this guy in the whole morning was when I said that. And then he goes, oh, were you recording? I said, of course not, Jim. That would be illegal. Because to record inside a courtroom or magistrate hearing, any space within the courthouse where private business is conducted, you would have to have approval prior to recording. And I knew that. I knew I wasn't going to get it, so I didn't ask. And so then I had to pay $50 for another appeal. And this one, you do not get reimbursed if they find in your favor. And so I said to them, like, you mean to tell me that a Mass State Supah Troopah can make up a lie and essentially rob me of $75, and I'm not going to get that shit back. But then I also have to pay, if I was found at fault, which I can't imagine I would be, but after all this, who knows? So, but yeah, so I would have to pay an additional $155. I'm hoping it doesn't come to that, but like, we'll see what happens. But Jim Dwyer was wicked annoying. But yeah, he said that I shouldn't need the footage to prove or disprove anything about the dashboard. They already responded to you by email. They already told you that the cruiser didn't have one, so therefore it didn't have one. Here's another thing. According to department policy, anytime a driver is issued a citation where recording devices or speed measuring devices are not in use, it needs to be specified why on the citation. I mentioned that to them. And then they said, that's only if it's not working properly. It's only if it's not working properly. Not if one wasn't used. So I also pointed out to them, sorry, I'm just going to grab my ticket here. I also pointed out to them that they marked off posted, they marked off clocked, and they marked off estimated. I consulted with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT informed me that I have a pretty good argument right there, right? Well, Jim Dwyer didn't think so. No. According to Jim Dwyer, that means the cop was behind me driving the speed limit and kept the same distance between me and him. But because of my speeding, it would have been noticeable that I was speeding. And with the trooper's experience, was able to estimate how I was speeding. Now, anybody in here remember how I told you it all went out? Oh, thank you, Cassandra. You like the way I say Supah Troopah. But because how it all played out was I was behind him. He was in the 3rd lane. I moved into the 2nd lane. Eventually moved into the 1st lane. And he came to almost a complete stop to be able to change lanes to come up behind me. or unlawful. He wasn't behind me. He wasn't even behind me. So then how does that become the argument? He was able to estimate it because he kept the same distance between me and him. He continued at the same speed. No, he didn't. He came to a practical stop. I am super irritated. Because now I have to request off another day. I have to go back to court February 20. I have it here. February 24th. February 24th, go in front of a judge. And if the judge is anything like Jim Dwyer, then he's going to suck. But anyway, I also informed Jim Dwyer that I was going to be conducting my first ever First Amendment audit while I was there. And he told me that was fine, which was good because I had also been recording most of the time I was at the courthouse, just not when I was in the magistrate hearing office. But funny thing happened. So, the security supervisor had come out, really nice guy. I spent like an hour-ish talking to him last time I was there, because my dad actually worked in the courthouses for like 20 years. And he loved it. So I had been chatting with him. I thought he was really, really nice. And quite frankly, like, I did not want to record my conversation with him. I think partially because I knew no matter what I caught in footage, I was going to upload it. And I'm a softie. I didn't want him to get in trouble just in case he didn't know the law. So I, stopped recording when I chatted with him. But anyway, I'm pointing out to him that, that I had recently come across perhaps the most hilarious channel I've ever seen in my life. And I cannot stop watching it. And then I realized I have the wrong mission in life right now. Like, I love doing the true crime stuff. I absolutely love that. But I also know that in a given week, I might spend 50 hours digging and trying to find stuff, looking into everything, and I might pay $1,000 in a FOIA request and only make $4 off a YouTube video, which is, I'm definitely spending more than I'm getting back. And not that I want to be able to like support myself off of what I make on this, but it would be nice to at least get reimbursed for the FOIA request fees that I have to pay. So, but anyway, so this channel is, and he's also on TikTok. It's called, First Amendment Protection Agency. Absolutely hilarious. A lot of people do not know First Amendment laws. Well, actually, like any of people's constitutional rights, they're not familiar with. I'm certainly not familiar enough with them to be as confident as he is in those situations. But I wanted to, get a little bit of experience with it, but not in a too confrontational way. So I was talking to that guy about it, and he tells me that guy was actually there, John Medaglia. He had been there. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, like, I looked at every thumbnail. What do you mean? I looked at every single one of this guy's thumbnails. But I'm also thinking maybe he was on TikTok long before he was on YouTube. So maybe I have to check his TikTok to see what happened in Chelsea Courthouse, right? So anyway, those are my plans for tonight. But he said to me, oh, yeah. One of the girls there in the clerk magistrate's office actually got in trouble for something that he caught on his footage. And I said to him, I was, because he's trying to tell me that, you can't record in here. But he showed me the same kind of courtesy I guess I showed him, where he was like, I'm not going to get you in trouble or anything, which I appreciated, especially since I stopped recording specifically so that he would not get in trouble for anything he didn't know, right? So I said to him, like, really? So he was here? Like, why was he allowed to record in the courthouse, but I'm not? And he said, well, he never actually got into the courthouse. We didn't let him pass the security checkpoint. We let him film over by the front door area before you go through the metal detector. We let him film over there, but we didn't let him film in here. And I was like, I wonder how he got the clerk magistrate's office then. So then, because this guy was telling me I couldn't record in the courthouse, I didn't know if that might have been like a Massachusetts thing or whatever. So I Googled, I consulted ChatGPT, and everything that came up said, you can't record in hearings, in courtrooms, in area where private personal business is being conducted. Some courthouses may restrict that. They may say you can't record in like the lobby or whatever. And so the actual wording was, some courthouses may have restrictions on this. Okay. I looked up at him and I said, that's so funny because I don't see any restricted signage that's posted that says I can't record in here. And then he and I just both kind of chuckled. He went downstairs. I went out the front door. So I'm going to need to figure out if that's actually a thing. I'd love to talk to John Medaglia. I did email him, haven't heard back yet. But I'm definitely, while I do not want to, I'm not going to ever like stop doing the true crime stuff that I love so much. But I might start throwing in First Amendment audits. This guy will throw together an 18, 20-ish minute video, gets like 480,000 views on it, and, chances are he doesn't have to have another job in addition to that. While I'd love to not work, right now that's not exactly like my situation. I will say I quit my job on Friday. But, not for the purpose of, like, never working again. First member is awesome. Yeah, I totally agree, Steve. I can't believe I only just found out about it, like, a week ago. And if people are, like, gifting or becoming a team, I am still super new to the TikTok world in that I don't know what those things mean yet. And because this is the first live I've done in like a while, it almost feels like my first one in a way. I'm probably going to do another one later because I am meeting a friend for a bite to eat. If anybody here lives in the Massachusetts area, if you've been to Kowloon restaurant, you know how amazing it is. Chicken fingers that practically melt in your mouth. And so she and I are going to Kowloon because the place I had been working at my first job there, she and I worked together. She was maybe the only reason I was able to stay in that job because it was, I'll do a live about it one day. It was torture. But then after a couple of years, I started doing a different job. I was doing that. I've just finished school like November 10th. And yeah, when I was told, you know, basically I need to stay until the job gets done. And I'm salaried, so can't get paid extra and cannot adjust my time at the end of the week. And I said I told them, like, one, I'm not a slave. Two, I'm not a volunteer. And they said, well, that's your job. And so I said, all right, well, I will give my 2 weeks notice if that is the case. Amanda, you're asking bachelor's degree or master's degree? Master's degree. I just graduated with my second master's degree. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'm going to go into Kowloon, grab a bite with my former coworker, and I'll probably do another live afterwards. Please come on. And thank you so much, everybody who commented and, you know, gave this like a bit of a discussion. And thank you for the things you sent me. The gifts, I don't know what those mean. The bracelet, I don't know what that means, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And also, right here, Justin Root, please look into it. I actually created a couple of videos about Justin Root. There's one I created that's like just under 5 minutes. It's maybe the video I am the most proud of on YouTube. Please look at it. Because he was absolutely executed by the police. He is also originally from Canton, Massachusetts, the same place as Karen Reed and Sandra Birchmore. And you know what? Maybe I'll give you more of an update about all that when I do another live later on. So thanks again for joining, and I'll see you all later. All right, bye.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.